Recently, it seems, me and other content creators alike have taken it upon ourselves to call out many trash pandas that we have discovered out here on the internet. Again! Mostly some of the big names, some of the huge hitters out there, like the Officer Tatums, the Myron Gaines, the Anton Daniels. You know, there's a long list of them. And trust me, we're going to do another tiers list here in the near future, and we're going to have a lot more on there, and it's going to be stacked to the max. Have a lot of names. It's not going to take like 8 hours to go through it. We'll probably just whip through it a lot quicker, but we're going to have a lot more people to start ranking. So stay tuned and stay excited for that. But today I'm calling out somebody who's not as known, somebody who probably nobody on this channel or anybody anywhere around here has heard of. And this guy's name is Kyle. He's had a channel, I guess, on YouTube for about 6+ years, and he's been making content dealing with conservative issues, or not really even issues, just talking from conservative talking points, just like many of these other brothers that we discovered out here on the internet. Well, a couple months ago, one of my subscribers, Baby Rose, sent me a link on Instagram. Boy, I really got to start checking some of my other sources. I mean, because I don't know how many people done hit me up, and it's usually not many, but I usually miss something that's important. Well, she brought this person to my attention. Even though this video didn't get a lot of views, I found it very interesting. So I do want to talk about it here today, because this guy definitely peddles a lot of the Stevie Night talking points, and they all fall down this rabbit hole. And I just like to once again hammer in how all of them sound the same. So when I decided to go ahead and take a look at Kyle's channel, I see that his channel had 11.6 thousand subscribers on 40 videos. That is an absolutely ridiculous ratio, which immediately throws up red flags to me. It makes me think that there's a lot of deleted videos somewhere, somehow. Unless he went mega viral, which is possible. Then you could get all the way up to that point. But it makes me think that obviously he deleted a lot of videos, because if you look at these recent videos, L's all over the place. This channel is dead. There's no life to this platform. I mean, 37 views 2 months ago, 208, 82, and I don't want to get into those people that's hating on views. But this is what happens though, honestly, on YouTube, and especially in these algorithms now, if you just take breaks. That's why you see some of us never take any breaks. Or like me, if I'm ever actually taking a break, I still got videos releasing because I can't fall out of the algorithm. I can't. That's why you'll see the most random videos pop up on my channel talking about just random topics and stuff like that. Now, I will have to go down here and view this video that he has about woke diverse characters suck. I mean, because it seems like you can tell the direction of his channel, what his beliefs are. On the surface, you can tell he's definitely a conservative individual. He was one of those who gave up basically blacks are all victims. He is one of those who definitely thinks in the same lines of like the Officer Tatum, the Candace Owens, the Stevie Knights, and all these people who just think the image of black people is ratchet and oppressed. And that's not the truth, man. Like, some people look at it that way, but those people are not cultured. They're not nuanced. They don't go outside. They don't actually hang around black people. They only see what they see on television, and that is how they shape and paint their narrative. I get sick and tired of people like this, and as you can see, these views just don't add up to 11,000 subscribers. And then all of a sudden you get to the bottom and you see it. His real story right there. I used to hate white people. My walkaway story. I guess that was a hashtag like trending topic back then, 6 years ago. And he got 925,000 subscribers. I mean, views, which means he obviously got a ton of subscribers. That's how it goes on a platform. And I decided I was going to go through that video, and I will show you that here in a second. But this is where it happened. This is where the boom took place for this channel. And then you can see 3 years later, he has a video saying starting over. Yeah, so I definitely have reviewed these videos, but I'm just saying, like, I'll get to that in a second. But this dude started over. And then in that video talking about starting over, he explained how he did delete his videos. So I was right. I was actually right about that.
I've missed you. No, your eyes do not deceive you. All the videos are gone. Reason why? I hate them. About 99.9% of them I do not like. When I first started this channel, I was very new to the world of politics. 2018 was the year, November, I made my first video on this channel. And it's been quite a long time since then. About what, 6 years? No, about 4 years ago. 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, 4 years ago. That's when I was around like 22, 23, around that age. And of course, whenever you enter a new hobby, phase, a new community, or subject matter, or whatever the case may be, you're a hothead and you're just completely zealous and you're a fanatic and you just hardcore whatever. And at the time, I was extremely hardcore Republican. slash conservative. Looking back on those videos, I'm like, man, I cringe. I was severely overweight. I didn't know how to dress, and my camera quality was freaking trash. Plus, I think there's a little bit more nuance to my arguments and my worldviews from that time. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still very much a Christian before anything else. I love God, I love Jesus, all that good stuff. And you can consider myself a conservative, but I'm not necessarily as hardcore Republican as I used to be.
Which to me is all fair and dandy. But then he goes on to say something that makes me start thinking these things do not add up.
And I really do believe if I took YouTube more seriously at the time, my channel would have been a lot bigger, because there's a lot of ways where it's like, I feel like with YouTube, there's certain waves that happen that you just have to catch at the right time. And I feel like I missed a lot of opportunities I had to blow up. I mean, for me, one example was the Officer Tatum, someone I used to follow when he had like around like 200,000 subscribers, and now he's almost at 2 million. And to see him grow so much is that he just caught the wave at the time, and I regret being lazy and not allowing my channel to reach its full potential.
The reason I say that these things don't add up is because to me personally, you can't say you should have followed the path of Officer Tatum and then say you're no longer hardcore conservative. Because if you're going to follow that path and continue down that grift, then you are hardcore conservative, or you truly are just a grifter who doesn't care about really what you're saying out here, and you don't have any real values or opinions, which you do seem like somebody who's trying to stand on your own values and opinions. But once again, these people are always fighting against their own narrative. It just seems so confusing to me, because you're upset that your channel didn't blow up. That's the reason why he really probably deleted all those videos, is because you start looking down and you see the views and they don't look really good. It's the same thing that I saw on this other channel my boy Swaggy Alt was doing. Like, I don't know him personally, but I watched a lot of his videos. I'll just be like, my boy. But anyway, this guy is a content creator. Every time he started uploading a lot of videos and they weren't getting a whole lot of traction, he would just delete them after he done gained some subscribers to make the ratio look better on his channel. To me, that's garbage. And to me, that's really disingenuous, which is something that you see from a lot of these individuals. Usually most of these people, they argue and they debate you in bad faith, and they do the exact same stuff in their normal everyday practices. It's just their human nature at this point in time. Like, I don't know how you get that indoctrinated to the point where you don't realize like how hypocritical you are in the things that you do and the things that you say, but they do this so much. Not saying that the other side doesn't do the same thing, but that's not my focus today. It is on them. So essentially what I'm saying is, what confuses me the most about what he is saying is that he said that he was hardcore conservative, but now he was ashamed of it. So that's why he got rid of all those videos. No longer wanted to be hardcore conservative, but he's upset at himself for not grifting off of his hardcore conservatism. Like, I cannot speak. I am struggling so bad today, but that is what he is struggling with. The fact that he didn't use it to get more subscribers and get more money and get more views, because he could have profited a whole lot on this platform. Because if he blew up the way he did basically on one video years ago, you got to think of the momentum you would get. He was right when it comes to, you got to catch a wave. Once you catch that wave, you do got to ride it out and see exactly how far you get, because that's what I feel like I'm doing right now. Me and Logic's channel has grown the exact same amount over the last month and a half. It's kind of incredible to see how much we've grown, and that is, you got to hit that algorithm and you cannot stop. If you look at his channel, there seems to be huge gaps, sort of like if you had a resume and there was these large discrepancies in job history. It's like, what happened in these years? Did you just not work? Were you living off welfare? Were you Section 8? What were you doing? Were you bumming under a bridge? I mean, were you sucking? I mean, what were you doing to survive in these times? Like, help me out when it comes to understanding this. So my question to people like this is, if you are ashamed of those views that you used to have in the past, then you decided to grift off of those views for years, how much shame would you actually have? Would you have any? Or would you just be like, well, I collected the money and now I'm good? Because I mean, you sound like you're having a moral complex here. Now, obviously these are some older videos and I'm comparing to newer videos here in this video, but just saying the contradictions in people's like thoughts and the fact that they don't ever acknowledge them over time is what's most baffling to me. Because you're upset at saying you didn't tap into your potential, but is that really your potential? If you're ashamed of those views and you didn't grift off of those, I would say you did the right thing. But I want to reshift the focus back to the video that I was really going to react to today and comment on, and that was him talking about, I don't care about racism. Because if you go back and look at his platform, you start seeing that he obviously has anti-black content on his channel. Not saying that he hates black folks, but it definitely doesn't seem like like he's painting us in the greatest light over here. And unlike Stevie's, where sometimes Stevie's like, okay, it's not all black people, this guy's pretty much like, no, Negroes are an issue at times. It really reeks of Anton Daniels more like than it does of people like Stevie Knight. So obviously this guy might creep up at them tears by the time that we end this video. But before we get into all of that, I really want to go through the video that made him big first. Pause. Talking about I used to hate white people.
This video is going to be my walkaway story. I recently figured out or learned that this was actually a movement, and it's kind of crazy because I had my own walkaway movement in my life, and I didn't know that this was more like a movement. Everyone's kind of sharing their story, so I just want to put mine out there just for anyone to relate, or maybe it can inspire some people to just rethink a lot about what we've believed growing up. Basically, in my life, I was predominantly raised in a Christian-centric household, meaning that my family wasn't really Christian, but they did hold a lot of Christian beliefs. I mainly grew up with my mother and my siblings. My dad was in and out of my life, but even the times we didn't catch up, my dad did lean more towards the pro-black kind of anti-white establishment. I come from a Caribbean household, and my dad, he's not necessarily Rastafarian, but he does lean towards more of the Rastafarian kind of pro-black, like white people are the devil, black people are oppressed, you know, kind of mindset. And my mom was kind of indifferent, you know. I didn't really get into politics or topics like that with my mother, but that's where my parents kind of standed. And growing up, I did have a lot of conservative leaning views because I am a Christian. You know, I believe in male and female marriage. You know, I don't do drugs. I don't believe in you know, being sexually active, or you know, just very conservative ideas. But I wouldn't say at that point I was an actual conservative.
I think what he means here is that he technically on paper would have been deemed a liberal. He would have voted Democrat, but at home his views were conservative. He would have voted Democrat based on the fact that he feels like he would have probably been indoctrinated by his father's beliefs that, well, black men are oppressed and that white men are the devil. So those are his thoughts that he gained from obviously his parents, which a lot of us, I mean, most people do gain and garner your views. That like the nurturing of your children is very important, because I mean, your views will definitely go down to them. Now they might change over time when they start to think that I don't like you because you might seem a little radical, but for the most part they begin to just think just like you, and usually later on in your children's lives they also start to become you, unless you know y'all have a really big disconnect, but usually your kids become who you are.
But over time, especially in my college years, you know, with everything going around in the media, you know, it's constantly bashing your head that, you know, black people are oppressed, there's white privilege, and there's a, you know, a systematic system against you, and a lot of this this victim mentality. Whenever you would hear a story like a white cop shooting a black man, I'll be first to say, hey, like, we kill ourselves more than any cops have killed us or anything like that. So basically, like,
which means he was successfully manipulated by the propaganda.
I had very conservative ideals, and I wasn't really into politics like that. Before I really got into politics, I used to think like basically the Republican Party was a party that did hold traditional values, but were more for the rich, or they only looked out for themselves. Well, I felt like the Democratic Party was morally failing, but they actually cared about everybody. You know, they cared about minorities and oppressed people or what have you. And that's what I initially thought. But eventually, because it's being hammered on my head so much through my friends or just scrolling through social media that black people are oppressed, you know, Black Lives Matter, the white people are the devil, white privilege, the wage gap, all this kind of stuff, I slowly started hating white people. And it was a very short time where I really hated Caucasians.
Now, if you listen to enough anti-white propaganda in your household, you will start to believe that all of them out there are supremacists with tiki torches in the closet. Now, that is not the case, and it's the same way in white households that they just sit around and they hear about all the black narratives about how black people are dangerous, we murder, we kill, we give herpes and HIV to everybody, and we're just dangerous and you can't be around us, we don't know how to act in public, we're idiotic, I mean, we're monkey brained, I mean, all this stuff like that. And they start to believe that when they don't go out and actually interact with us. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing back and forth. And that is the most crazy thing. Now, the unfortunate thing, you just know that these households all exist because it's going to be hard for it to disappear until all these racist people die, which unfortunately, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while before that takes place.
And growing up, I've never had any ill towards anybody. Like, I would say I'm the kind of person who's cool with everybody. I don't care if you're white, black, Spanish, Asian, you're gay, you're atheist, doesn't matter to me. Like, if you're cool, I kick it with you. But because it was being preached so much about how evil white people are, I started hating white people. I mean, everywhere I would go, I would look at a white person, man, they have it good. Man, they're such racists. You know, you start assuming that every white person is racist or they don't like black people. And it was to the point where, man, like, I was really hating white people. And it got really bad because it's like every day I was mad. I had so much hatred building in my heart and I felt miserable, you know. And
now, it is true that you can hate on people to the point where you do become miserable. But with so many of these individuals where they apparently wake up and they see the light that not all white people are racist, they just completely throw out their radar when it comes to people who actually are racist. It's like you still need to be on alert for those that are. The ones that are in plain sight that you just don't see because you think they're all just good old people. And some of them just aren't, man. I'm telling you, you talk about the wolves in sheep's clothing. These people get just completely tricked by them all the time because they never see it. They just start to believe that all of them are good old people, and they slowly don't pay attention to the fact that they start seeing everything through the white person's lens. How does a white person get offended by this? And that is the shape of their reality. I pointed this out on the live stream that we did talking about the raccoons and all that. And it's just like, that's what happens to people like Stevie. When you get indoctrinated by this point and you wake up, and they don't want to call it woke, but I guess in their minds it's woke. But either way, they look through life through the lens of somebody who's not even representative of who they are. It's like, ooh, do I make them feel uncomfortable by being here? Is me wearing this do-rag and a cowboy hat going to make them uncomfortable? Does this make them confused? Why are you looking at everything through their lens? How about you just live your life? How, you know, I mean, just go do that. Most of them don't give a shit. Most of them are just like, oh, that's a black guy over there. You will realize that. And then there are some that are like, oh, he's trying to impede on our territory. And it's like, you know what? Go to hell. I don't care about you. But that's the part that kills me about these individuals is like, he is young. He was really young when he made this video. So I try to give these people a handicap when it comes to like perspectives on life because they just don't know everything. And I've also went through these like little shape shifting type of points of view in my mind, like when I was like 16, 17, 18 years old. And then you obviously get to the point where you mature and you do try to like look at life through a very realistic lens and not so narrow-minded. But sometimes people get so narrow-minded that they just forget that other factors are still out there. There are still bad people. There are still people that are bad faith actors that are not looking out for you, that only want to stab you in the back as soon as they possibly can.
It's not until I sought help from my pastor who is black, bring some clarity. And, you know, he basically said, you know, that you can't make it in this life, especially in America, without white people's help. Meaning basically like somewhere down the road, a white person is going to help you somewhere, somehow in America. Or, you know, you just can't hate people because, I mean, God made everyone equal. And, you know, it doesn't matter if you're white, black, or Spanish, whatever, like we're all created equal, you know, and every race have done their fair share of injustices in the world. But moving on, yeah, so after talking with him, he really brought some clarity and I was able to kind of become clear-minded again. But it's not until I was scrolling through YouTube and I saw suggested videos, actually a YouTuber called Hunter Avalon, who I do like his channel a lot. It was one of his videos called Why I Don't Like the Fat Acceptance Movement, and I clicked on it, and that kind of exposed me to a lot of conservative ideas. Hunter is a very outspoken conservative, and I was just scrolling through his videos. I would see like videos about Black Lives Matter, about the LGBT community, about Trump, and just kind of just scrolling through it, like my eyes just started to open, and listening to his videos, like my eyes open. And I would say I'm a free thinker. Like, I believe in absolute truth, but at the same time I'm open to hear different ideas, because I like to discuss about ideas. So I found his arguments and his viewpoints very interesting.
So I decided to pause right there and go check out Hunter Avalon's channel. 543,000 subscribers, 1.2K videos. I was thinking, you know what? Okay, this guy's got a pretty big platform. And it seems like it's pretty balanced when you start looking at these videos and just on the titles and thumbnails alone. Not really sure where this guy would actually stand when it comes to his politics and his beliefs, whether he's racist or radical, or if he's a real fair, opportunist or capitalist, socialist, fascist, who knows? I really have no idea. All those ish words, he could be any of them. I really wouldn't have a clue, because these videos seem like they're really all over the place. But that doesn't seem to be necessarily a bad thing, because heck, if you look at my channel, it's probably something similar. So I'm assuming that Kyle adopted everything that this man was talking about. He went on to proceed to say that he definitely agreed with a lot of what this guy was talking about. And it's like that sometimes. Sometimes you find content creators that do just think a lot of the same ways you do. It's the same way with like me, Logix Watts, and possibly Jew too, because I need to get to know Jew more. But it seems like he rocks with us pretty well. And I think a lot of us look at things very similarly. And that happens, and you seem to gravitate towards those people. But what happens is sort of like with Stevie Night and Charlie Kirk, is you develop all of their beliefs, and then you start losing any beliefs of your own, and all of your opinions become manipulated by the things that you've heard, and then you just start regurgitating the same things that you've heard, and you start losing your own voice, and you just become a monolith and just a voice for this other person down these echo chambers that leave you lost. And that's what I don't want to ever end up being. And I think that's also what happened to Kyle, because this dude was young, and when you're young like that, you're super duper impressionable. I always tell people, malleable brains when you're young, and that's what happens to these folks, is they become indoctrinated and they lose all, basically, ability to self-think. I mean, that's pretty much the best way I could put it.
But even before that, I remember I watched a video on Facebook by Ben Shapiro, that famous video where he was arguing against the transgender, the transgender movement, or all about basic biology, whatever. And I agree with Ben Shapiro, but I didn't know who Ben Shapiro was. But I did find that video, and I did agree with Ben. But after I found Hunter Avalon, that's when in the suggested videos I saw videos about Ben Shapiro. The whole Ben Shapiro destroys such and such a person with facts and logic and blah 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 blah. And I would just basically binge watch all his videos and just learn from Ben. A lot of what he was saying is what I personally agree with, but because I didn't really know how to articulate what I thought, it's like I believed in what conservative ideals believe in, but you just don't know how to express them, and not really knowing how to defend yourself. I kind of fell into the more liberal, progressive, and that's when I started hating white people. But after seeing all the videos from Ben Shapiro, that kind of just opened my eyes, and I just agreed with a lot of what he was saying, and a lot about the victim mentality that's being preached, how the Democratic Party's corrupt, that they're the actual racists and everything like that. And then eventually, from watching Ben Shapiro, that led me to other free thinkers / conservatives like Dave Rubin, I love, Thomas Sowell, Larry Elder, Jordan Peterson, and another YouTuber I watch. His name is The Amazing Lucas. I like his videos as well.
And boy, has The Amazing Lucas changed his tune since then. It seems like The Amazing Lucas is the only one that seemed to have woke up. All these other people got indoctrinated by the red Kool-Aid and fell over to the dark side. Not saying that the blue side is the light side, but somewhere in between is probably the proper place. But either way, The Amazing Lucas switched over, and I mean, he's more liberal now, but I think he can say that he's more in the independent category. He is just, as you would say, seen the light. Yeah, you can go ahead and believe what they're saying and their politics and their policies and what they say on paper and principles and stuff like that. But if you really are paying attention, you'll realize they're lying just as hard as the people that you just said are lying and are the real racists. And that's what I find to be so ironic. All these brothers, all these people that end up down these rabbit holes in these echo chambers, they always listen to the same people. I swear to God, Thomas Sowell is just like, these people's Jesus Christ. I mean, he is the one who always shows people the light of how you should just worship the white man. And I'm like, dude, I think we should get along with all people. But this worship that they have of the other kind, acting like they've never done anything wrong, when it's like, dude, they even know they've done a whole bunch of terrible things. They just don't want to talk about it. And most of it, I understand. Like, you don't want to be talking about how horrible you people were. I mean, I wouldn't on an everyday basis. Like, look, I can carry that shame without having to talk about it and feel, bad all the time. But it just kills me that these brothers always end up watching the same people. Jordan Peterson. Who's the other one that he mentioned? Oh, Larry Elder. I mean, my God, dude, these are all the same types of self-hating black folks and random like white, theologists and stuff like that. They're the same people, and it amazes me how they all worship the same folks. They never have any counters to any of their thoughts and opinions. They just say, oh my God, what they say is gospel because it sounds really good. It feels good on my soul, and I will never challenge anything that they say. And if you're going to be one of those that challenges anything that they say, then I will come at you hard. Pause. Well, that brings us all to this moment here where we're going to finally address what this whole video was really about, and that is this man talking about how he does not care about racism. And I guarantee you, he is going to point out a whole bunch of things that you keep hearing from every single one of these people. Regurgitation at its finest.
Personally, don't really care about racism. Now, for many people, that sounds like blasphemy because as an African American, a black person, whatever you want to call it, racism and fighting systemic racism or discrimination has been a fabric of black African American identity. Many of our media and culture revolves around racism in America's history between whites and blacks. And denying a lot of that or not caring about the history that a lot of black people went through is kind of seen as like you're betraying your own people or you don't care about your own people.
Okay, first off, it's been 6 years and I've viewed this guy's channel a little bit. I thought he said that he has evolved his opinions and takes and he doesn't look at things the exact same way that he did. He does. It sounds like the exact same person as 6 years ago. Doesn't sound like he's had a whole lot of growing. Sounds like he's kept things exactly the same so far. So let's go ahead and proceed.
Now, I come from a mainly black conscious family. My heritage is Jamaican, and a lot of my family is aware of racism and, things that have been done against black people. My biological father is a Rastafarian, and he often talks about racism and, what the whites have done. So I was aware of it growing up, but it didn't really affect me as much. Now, a lot of people's personal experiences depend on the area you live in, kind of like your social economic background. Because what I find mainly with racism, at least in modern times, it's less about skin color and more about how your economic status is. A lot of rich people will tell you that when people are rich, they don't really care about race. They say racism is like a belief for poor people. I'm not saying that there aren't racist elites out there. Of course they are, but I believe it's more so social, economical, and cultural issues.
Some of these points I overall agree with, but why do I feel like these people just use this as cope to say that racism just doesn't exist at all? Look, I would love to believe that we were born in a reality where racism didn't exist, where black people were on top, where we had the money, where we weren't the slaves, where bad things didn't happen to our people. But guess what? We woke up in this reality where we have taxes and we got to pay bills and we got to deal with all this garbage. We got to deal with global warming, people murdering each other, global rape. I mean, just mass, oh man, I don't know how many of those words I can say. Mass Jeffrey Epstein's out here, basically, is what I'm alerting to. I mean, there's a lot of terrible things, corruption all over the place. I wish we weren't born in this reality, but unfortunately, that is where we are.
Me growing up, I've never had a problem with white people. I've never had a problem with Hispanics. I've actually had friends of all kind of ethnicities and colors. And it's not like I grew up in the suburbs or in a good part of town. I actually grew up in a lot of poor areas, sometimes very close to the ghetto. I grew up in a single mother household. Oftentimes we had nothing to eat. Oftentimes the light cut off, the water cut off. I had no silver spoon. I think also because of my Caribbean heritage, there is some differences between Caribbean Americans and African Americans. I think for one, Caribbean culture is a bit more structured. We're taught from a very young age to respect our elders and to not talk against our, older folks or people in authority.
Now, this brother seems like he's very intelligent, seems like he's very kind, but I mean, he just strikes me as somebody who's very close-minded and he doesn't think he is.
With that being said, I think that when we do come to America, even though we may see certain things, we still understand respect, authority, and that if you want respect, you got to give respect. So you can say I was raised with a very much immigrant mentality. It was very much evident in how I was raised.
Oh, I see where he's steering this boat, and it feels like he's going right for the iceberg, where he's sitting here painting out all basically African Americans, black people's household as places where there's no amount of respect. Where did you grow up? Like, I'm telling you, even in that neighborhood that you think was it probably wasn't a great neighborhood. If it's a bad neighborhood, I guarantee you there were still homes that had standards in them, where there wasn't allowed for disrespect towards elders or parents or those that were in the community. Not everybody was walking around here cussing at folks, slapping folks around, drug dealing, doing all sorts of bad things. I guarantee you it wasn't every single person. But guess what? You probably will not hear him talk about the other side, do you?
Even in the times I lived in the hood or very not good areas, my attitude and temperament was different from mainly a lot of African Americans. I was well-mannered, respectful, while a lot of my peers were very rebellious. They cursed a lot, often got into a lot of bad activities. So I say that to say that when I interacted with non-black people, it was a very smooth experience because I believe how I should say how my worldview was shaped.
Now, not meaning for me to sound racist, but sons, I swear some of these immigrants that come over here that are black, they are some of the most arrogant individuals when it comes to how they raise their families and treat people in their households. Their standards, they believe, are just so much higher and better than everybody else's. Now, I think he gets to some good points here later, but I also feel like it's going to contradict himself a little bit when it comes to the things that he was criticizing.
I've never faced racism from a white person, and I've been around all kinds of white people.
I believed in morals and stability while they believed in goonery.
I've been around white trash, I've been around homeless whites, I've been around very prestigious, high-income whites, I've been around European whites, like straight from Europe.
Oh, I can't stand when I hear this. I mean, what a life. What a great life to never have experienced any form of racism. Oh man, I tell you what, that would be a great world to be in. I'm telling you, these people are so blinded by the fact that they could have probably already faced racism in this world and have no idea about it. It doesn't have to be where they're carrying around like white hoods and they literally have rope like they had the Jussie Smollett story going around. They don't have to treat you like that for there to be open racism in your life. It could have been like, hey man, did you go ahead and apply for a job and you didn't get it? Well, you know why? Because they didn't want you because you were black. They didn't want to have one of those in the office space because you know what? You didn't fit the aesthetic. They didn't think you would fit in with the team. You know what I'm saying? That does happen regardless if you think so or not. Or maybe you didn't do the investigating because they just didn't call you back. Or maybe there was another opportunity out there that you thought you should have, but somebody above the scenes was like, you know what? These people will never see that or even think that because their worldview is so warped. You know what kills me is how he says that he's never seen or been around any of these races. I've been around some racist homeless folks and it was the most confusing experience in my entire life. Sitting here thinking like, why are you sitting here around here being racist, homie? It hasn't gotten you very far, apparently. I mean, I'm telling you, it doesn't seem like you're very comfortable. Over here calling me the N-word isn't going to save your life. I'm telling you, you might want to consider like, homie, at least I have a roof over my head. I mean, I don't want to sit here and talk trash, but you're the one over here trying to be randomly racist and being mean and bigoted out of nowhere. I'm like, homie, you ain't got shit. Like, how are you going to sit around here and talk about how my people ain't nothing, but you literally have nothing? Like, dude, I mean, that makes no sense to me when homeless people are actually racist like that. And they all over the place, all drugged out, spazzed out on heroin and shit, spewing out the N-word, calling the world, hey, the replacement theory is taking over. I mean, it's just so insane.
And generally, in my experience, if you treat people well, they treat you well, or if you leave people alone, they leave you alone. I've also had many Hispanic friends, especially during middle school and high school, so I haven't faced racism with Hispanics either. My first girlfriend was Asian, and I've been to Japan twice, as some of you guys know. And Asians have always had a soft spot for me, which if I was to compare certain communities, the black community and the Asian community are not that close compared to other groups.
Okay, so he says now even with other cultures and ethnicities, he's never faced any form of racism, but he's also been very attracted to some of those women. But guess what? I guarantee you didn't get to date all those women that you liked of those other ethnicities. And I wonder why. You ever think about what those parents had to think? Maybe those views just didn't get to you.
So what I'm basically setting up is that I've mainly had more negative experiences with my own people than other races.
Nigga! And boy, I'm telling you, ain't none of them ever had any bad thoughts about me. I'm telling you, they looked at the color of my skin and they never judged it. They always looked at me for the merit and things that I brought to the table. If I was a good man, they looked at me as a good man. Never judged me one bit, no how. And this is how another black man becoming a self-hating Negro's origin story begins, written straight up out of AI and ChatGPT. That script is very familiar. I'm just saying it is very familiar. For whatever reason, they've always had these negative and terrible experiences. They've only faced racism, only seen anger, hostility, bad negativity around their own people. Not one other person in their life has ever done anything negative to them. I just have a hard time believing that. I really do. I can believe that you can have an overall very positive experience with every, other race, but I refuse to believe that you never had any negative experiences with anybody else besides your own people. And the fact that you did, where is the grace? You telling me there's not going to be any infighting anywhere? You telling me you really believe all these other places? They really do believe this, that every other race just has these just the happiest homes where everything shines and everything's clean and there's no drama, there's no bad things that happen, there's no incest, there's no rape, there's no type of sexual assault, there's nothing that takes place in these other households. Even those statistics have highly proven that unfortunately a lot of white dudes be doing some of the worst crimes that you can possibly commit, and they are a very high percentage of them. But guess what? These blacks are focused on the black statistics, talking about how blacks are the leaders in murder. One category out of how many categories? A lot.
But I think also that's because of my mentality. I'm very international, cultured. I've been to a few countries. I've been to Cuba, I've been to Poland, I've been to Turkey, I've been to Japan. So I guess my worldview is bigger than my backyard. I guess that's why I haven't cared about racism as much the majority of my life, because I don't have a very limited or biased perspective that a lot of other blacks do. Now, I'm not saying racism doesn't exist or that people aren't discriminated against nowadays. Everyone knows about slavery, segregation, Jim Crow, all of that. But I really believe that if you want to be successful, it's really up to you.
There's always that but. There's always that but that gets in the way. Now, overall, once again, I do believe in the whole you can't live oppressed, you can't think oppressed, or you will be oppressed. But you can't tell me there aren't factors that do oppress and keep people from getting to the top. That does exist. Sometimes, like, your peak is only going to go so far because you're going to be limited by those around you. Now, it does become hard to just continue to branch out and find different avenues where people are going to give you opportunities. But guess what? Sometimes people just don't get to find those.
I don't believe that there is necessarily anything that can stop you from being successful. There are hurdles, yes, and depending where you live, you may face certain issues. I think ultimately, if you want to be successful in life, if you want to have the American dream, that's all on you. I do believe there are systems in place to keep black people, but majority low-income people thinking a certain way. I do believe there are narratives in place to keep us under control. I'm very aware that the American history that we're taught in public schools is oftentimes wrong or truth mixed with lies.
Then where is your empathy for all the brothers that you grew up who were indoctrinated and also affected by those real world factors?
Like, I love Thomas Sowell. One book I recommend is Black Rednecks and White Liberals. I believe that's the name of the book. I've learned more from that book than my whole time in American history taught in public schools. So I'm of the belief that racism may exist, but it can't stop you if you choose not to let it stop you. And I think that there are more problems in the black community that hold us back than an external force that's trying to weigh us down. But for the sake of argument, let's say there was an external force that was trying to hold us down. If you have a whole culture that is shattered by not having fathers in the home, many black children are raised by single mothers. Out of wedlock babies are more than 70%, 80% in some areas. We have a very rebellious culture stemming from our broken families.
That's another myth that's been debunked here recently, talking about black fathers in the home. Black fathers are the most active fathers outside of, they are the most active fathers of any race that exists. Considering all races have split and broken up homes, black fathers are actually the most present in their homes. Like, golly, I'm struggling to find words, man. I'm telling you, I'm struggling. Been working overtime. But still, I'm telling you, that is just the truth. Like, and these people just do not believe that. They, for whatever reason, and also the contradictions. Homie, do you not realize what you were just talking about right then and there? Like, you also grew up in a single mother household and you seem to have turned up fine. Why do you not believe that can be the case for any others? I guess you were just outlier. He was special. He was one of the chosen ones, as people would say. And I find that to be absolutely ridiculous. Like, coming up with all these broken homes where's your stats? There are no stats because he probably ain't looked them up. He just believes the talking points of those people that he loves to worship.
I just personally think if the white man is trying to put you down, shouldn't your house be in order first so you know how to fight the white man when he comes after you? And because I'm so international, I've lived in places outside of my own backyard. I guess my worldview is more shaped by how people live than necessarily their skin color. Now, I've had racist encounters before, but that was mainly, I find, with Indian people or people of Indian descent.
Oh, excuse me. I guess only Indians outside of black people are really the only people that are racist in this world.
There's one Indian guy I lived with who was extremely racist, and that was my first prominent racial experience. I will admit for a time I didn't like Indians, but it was kind of contradictory because I've also had very, very good Indian friends. So I just had to believe that if you are racist or, you're discriminating against people, it may be because of certain experiences you've had or because there's a certain pattern of behavior. But regardless, I think being racist means that you're just trying to find ways to feel like you're better than people. I believe you can acknowledge a people's flaws without feeling you're better than them. But irregardless, to finish up this video, I think it's more about your mindset. Everyone has hurdles they have to face. You're too ugly, you don't have enough money, you lived in a poor country, you were born in a poor country, you didn't have both parents in your life, your parents are divorced, you had a murder in the family, you lost a loved one. Everyone goes through some kind of hurdle. Question is, what are you going to do to overcome it? And I'm of the belief that you have to sweep off your own porch before you complain about the world. If systemic racism does exist, is your culture stable enough to fight it? It makes no sense trying to fight the world and come to your own home and have to fight the people within your own home. That will never work. But to sum up, I've never experienced prominent racism besides, a few from some Indian people. I think because of my international perspective, because I've been around a lot of people and I've traveled a lot, I think my worldview is shaped by my exposure to other groups of people. That I know racism is just a belief of poor people or uneducated people. If I want something done, if I want to accomplish a goal, I will not let anything stop me from accomplishing that goal, even if it's systematic racism.
I guess those air quotes at the end were his indication that says he doesn't really believe in redlining, or the fact that we really did need DEI, unfortunately, or affirmative action so minorities could get a fair opportunity at jobs, because you couldn't trust those so-called trustworthy white men to give you an opportunity at those jobs, because it was the good old boys club at every opportunity, because they had control of everything. Since we couldn't just always just be in charge of all of our own stuff, we had to rely on them to give us opportunities. And if they aren't going to give us opportunities because they're like, we don't necessarily have to, that's why you had to put rules in place. But I guess that's not real. Nobody ever believes that to be the case. Everything's about a meritocracy. You get chosen on your merit, which is just total bullshit. I'm sorry. Even if it's a black-owned company, a lot of times what happens is you can have a white guy that's going to come in and they're highly qualified, but they're going to choose another brother that they know who's highly underqualified because that is somebody they know. And since they had control a majority of the things in the country, they had to put rules in place to say that is not fair. I don't know how else I can describe it other than that. But that is what is always the case, and these people ignore this stuff, and they always adopt this mindset saying that poor people are the ones who really are the most racist, and that is a poor people mindset when the racist people are truly the ones who run these worlds in this country. I mean, I just don't get it, man. Those are the biggest racists that are, because they're really trying to control everything from the top. I don't sit here. There are plenty of rich people who, honestly, I don't know, because I think they have too much money to really care. But don't sit here and act like all of them are just holy. Well, anyway, I didn't want to waste any more time today dealing with this trash panda. I don't even know how much he qualifies as a trash panda. He has a lot of good points. I understand he is trying to be nuanced point of view on things in life. But I'm telling you, a lot of these people have the same mindset. They repeat the same talking points. It's the same thing we hear over and over and over again. They read from the same playbook. They go from the same script, and it's almost like they don't have a mind of their own. They almost come off as true NPCs. That's what it sounds like. They come off as just bots. And it's like, man, you only have a couple of responses, 1 through 9. Hit one of the buttons. I mean, it is just a shame, man. Well, anyway, leave what you think here in the comments. If you think I sounded stupid today or whatever, please let me know. I need something. Well, engage with the content, like, share, hype the video, and be back with you soon.